So, Sale, talk to me. Who is under more pressure this season, Sean McVay or Matthew Stafford?
Oh, it's Sean McVay, the genius in Sean McVay. People haven't done a deep dive on Sean McVay just yet. At least it hasn't pierced his reputation of being a genius. You started to see the Sharks circling Kyle Shanahan this offseason, and I think he recognized it as well. Therefore, moving up in the draft, go get Trey Lance because he said, hey, you're not going to eat me up without me putting up a fight. Okay, Sean McVay, same thing. Now, Sean is smart because he's like, I don't even see the Sharks, but I saw what they did to Kyle, so let me go on and swap this out. Scapegoat gone. Jared Goff, get out of here. Give me a real gunslinger, Matthew Stafford. Okay, now you're protected in some respects because Matthew Stafford's never won it all. So anything Matthew Stafford does in the postseason, guess who's going to get the credit? Sean McVay. Genius move, but here's the problem. And there's why there's pressure on you. What if it doesn't work out? Why wouldn't it work out? Sean McVay's a genius, and everyone knows I swear by Sean McVay and love him. But I do my job. I had to expose some of the Kyle Shanahan issues. I even had to expose Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl issues. Well, let me expose Sean McVay and some of his offensive issues. When he got here in 2017, you know what his offense was ranked? Number one. I always tell you, Acho, be careful of the order of success. Don't start too fast because it could come back and hurt your ass. What was 2018 after he was first? Second. So, no Sharks. Go out there and swim. No choppy waters. What happened the next year? 11th. Barely outside the top 10. People not tripping. What happened last year? 22nd. Are you trying to tell me a genius as a play caller went from first to second to 11th to 22nd in offense? Yes, I am. Now, why is that exposing Sean McVay and putting pressure on him? Because he knows that the only thing that's going to change this is him banking on someone like Matthew Stafford and the offensive weapons that they've come that replenished this year to change his fate. Here's the problem. Has Matthew Stafford ever done it all? Has Matthew Stafford ever carried a team to tremendous success? No postseason wins. This is a risky gamble. This is a pressure cooker for Sean McVay. He knows it. He's just glad that everyone else doesn't know it until after my take.
I like that take. And in all honesty, this one can go either way. But I'm about to say something or ask you something that will make you think, might give you a headache, might blow your mind, who knows? I spent like 20 minutes this morning trying to answer this question. Name a quarterback that is perceived to be as great as Matthew Stafford, but has accomplished as little collectively. I don't think there is one. In the history of the NFL, Matthew Stafford has the most perceived greatness with the smallest amount of collective accomplishments. Why do I say that? Matthew Stafford's team record is 74, 90, and 1. Of quarterbacks with at least 150 starts, that is the worst winning percentage since 2000. Now, the names that might come to your mind, Sel, Jay Cutler, right? Jay Cutler had perceived good, but he wasn't that great in people's minds. But even Jay Cutler had a higher winning percentage, 74 and 79. Then you have Eli Manning. People on the fence. He wasn't that great. But remember, Eli has 2 Super Bowls. He has a Super Bowl MVPs. And he was 500 as a quarterback. Carson Palmer.
There you go.
He was perceived great. Not as great in my mind, even as Stafford has been perceived great. But even Carson Palmer has a winning record. Matthew Stafford, in the history of the NFL, has the most perceived greatness with the least collective success. People will say, well, Acho, Stafford went to a team that was 0-16. Cut him some slack. Quarterback doesn't do everything. Baker Mayfield went to a team that was 1-31. And even Baker currently has a winning record with a franchise that was in just as much historical turmoil as Matthew Stafford. Andy Dalton. Even Andy Dalton has a significantly higher winning percentage than Matthew Stafford, and he went to a franchise that was in just as much collective turmoil. So, Sel,
I'm listening.
Matthew Stafford, I'm not going to call him overhyped, overrated, over anything. I think he has one of the best arms in the NFL, and I also think that it is a team game. But great quarterbacks, even in the midst of murk and dirt, they find ways to make their teams ascend. Matthew Stafford's not the only quarterback to have ever gone to a bad situation. Deshaun Watson went to a team coached by Bill O'Brien. If you didn't realize Bill O'Brien couldn't coach, you've now realized it. And Deshaun Watson has gone to the playoffs and has made some noise there as well. So I surmise all that to say, Stafford's under more pressure because eventually, if not now, soon, people will say Stafford's incredibly talented, but maybe he just doesn't have it. Like, he's incredibly talented, but maybe whatever it is that Russell Wilson has that can help him lead his teams even when his defenses are atrocious, whatever it is that Aaron Rodgers has that kept the Packers 4-0 when his defense was historically bad, whatever it is that Joe Flacco had in the playoffs to go on a run, whatever it is that even Nick Foles had at times throughout the course of his career, Matthew Stafford, he got all the tangibles. But eventually, if he doesn't have success this year with the coach that's been to the Super Bowl within the last 4 years, people will say he got all the tangibles, but he just doesn't have it. And I think it's time for him to prove he has it.
You just did something amazing there because you just showed me that the perception of something could be so great, but still not exactly get the results of that greatness. That was your take. And you just did that with your take. Your take was amazing, but it was wrongly placed.
Talk to me.
Because everything you said is correct, but it makes my point. Is it worse to have it, to lose it, than to never had it at all? Most people say it's worse to have it and then lose it, right? Sean McVay had it. He was labeled a genius. Sean McVay had it. He had his team in the Super Bowl, going against Belichick, the old versus the new guard. You know, Sean McVay has been this close to winning it all. Matthew Stafford couldn't see it with binoculars and a telescope attached to it, right? So someone had it, and then if you really dive into these numbers, has lost it. Versus someone never had it at all. That, to me, says there's more pressure on the one to get it back versus the one to find it in the first place. Here's another thing. The defense saves this team now. Like, Sean McVay has a team right now that you literally would say, based on last year, oh, the defense bails them out. Why? Because the defense was ranked first while the offense was ranked 22nd. So it's weird. Your take was amazing, kind of like Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford is amazing at quarterback.
Yes, sir.
It ain't just perception. It's reality. I don't know. This is kind of to our Russell Westbrook conversation of why I don't always put team success on an individual player, because Matthew Stafford is insanely good at quarterback, but it doesn't add up. And that's a different calculation. But my point is this. There's more pressure on a genius offensive coordinator / head coach, Sean McVay, that is now being saved by a defense than a Matthew Stafford that we don't know why it doesn't work in Detroit, but we never seen it work for Matthew Stafford. So why is there more pressure on him?
Let me tell you, I'm not against you. I think that
you with me now.
The reason there's more pressure on Stafford, and I'm focusing on the Stafford aspect of this, is because I think Stafford is that great. I want to believe Stafford is that great. Stafford grew up 12 minutes from me. He went to Highland Park High School in Texas. I've known of Stafford since I was 11 years old, when I first went to my little private school adjacent to where he grew up. I want to believe Stafford is that great, and I should. But still, then is Stafford the only quarterback in the history of the NFL that's gone to a bad situation?
No, not at all.
If Stafford was that great, why is his record that bad? Well, the Lions are terrible, Acho. So are the Browns. Well, the Lions are terrible, Acho. So are the Bengals. So if Stafford was actually that great, why is his record so bad? Because the Texans were terrible too.
Yeah.
Deshaun's record ain't that bad. Baker's record ain't that bad. Dalton's record ain't that bad. So the question then becomes, is Stafford that great? My dogs from Dan Orlovsky, who played with Stafford for years. My dog Quandre Diggs, now safety for the Seahawks, who played with Stafford for years. My dog Darius Slay, who played against Stafford, obviously with the Lions against him because he played cornerback for years. They would all attest to his greatness.
Fact.
And I want to co-sign all of them. But why you so sorry as a record then, collectively? Cutler wasn't that sorry.
Man, we should have did this block before the Russell Westbrook, because I think it started to get clear for you.
How?
That's how the game goes.
It's not how the game goes. I've
seen Bruce Smith. Like, it's hard to do.
Different position.
I see everything is always different, but that's the beauty of it. That's why it's so difficult to explain. It's always different. Look, let me give you this. all good players aren't created equal. You know that.
Yes,
like,
sir.
You say Russell Westbrook's good, right? But then you like, there's a different level, right?
Sir.
Okay, guess what? All bad players ain't created equal as well. All bad situations aren't created equal. You keep trying to think Cleveland's bad, so it's going to be as bad or worse than Detroit.
It was.
No,
statistically.
They drafted wrong at the position you needed to draft well at the most. Cleveland couldn't get the quarterback right. Detroit got the quarterback right and couldn't get a lot of other things right.
You're right.
So guess what? It adds up to being the same or worse, even though you went about it differently.
But here's where I disagree. I think a quarterback can atone for a multitude of errors.
Yeah.
A multitude. We know, though.
We got to recalculate that.
We know with Russell Wilson, you know the Seahawks defense for the first 6 weeks of the season was worst or bottom 2 in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers, the Packers defense statistically, it's not my opinion, throughout the first 4 weeks of the season was worse in the NFL, but they were 4-0. A great quarterback can atone for a multitude of errors. Matthew Stafford is not the only quarterback that went to a bad situation.
No,
there are levels of bad. You're right.
Where's the running game healthy? Where's the line?
Why is Matthew Stafford? So Matthew Stafford's the only quarterback that had a running game?
No. See, this. Now we're getting deep. Now we're doing our show where all of a sudden you realize, why is he in L.A. in the first place? He's not in L.A. because he was on a bad team in a bad situation, or obviously because he wasn't a bad quarterback. He's in L.A. because they said, damn, that is an A-plus student at the worst school ever. And they looked at it, and Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay discussed this, how there was really some fighting going on in terms of we got to get Matthew Stafford and save him from that situation. So the gamble, the risk, the pressure is on Sean McVay because, one, he won that competition to get his rights, but two, to make sure that that bet is real. That Matthew Stafford was suffering because of conditions, because of circumstances. That's what everyone, that's the pressure.
No.
That's the bet.
No. I won't let you do this.
You mad. You made my point. You made the point.
You tell me you have to be greater than your greatest excuse.
You do, but not in the team aspect.
You have to. 2017.
Let's go.
Russell Wilson was the Seahawks leading rusher. 2017. Russell Wilson was the Seahawks leading passer. 2017, the Seahawks still finished second in a division that has been historically better in the last decade than the division in which Matthew Stafford has been in. Be greater than your greatest excuse. Yes. Russell Wilson was the team's leading rusher. Yes. Now, Matthew Stafford, I'm not asking you to go be the leading rusher. And if y'all don't know, I will tell you, in 64 career starts for Matthew Stafford, 65, he's only had a running back rush for 100 yards 11 times. So, he has had no help in the running game. Yeah. I am acknowledging that. Yeah. But I'm also saying if Stafford is that good, then he shouldn't be collectively this bad. You ain't got to win a Super Bowl. Phillip Rivers ain't. You ain't got to win a Super Bowl. Deshaun hasn't yet. Jim Kelly didn't, et cetera, et cetera. But if you that good, all the other players at your position that are that good haven't been this bad. So I think the pressure is on him to prove that he has it.
Yeah, well, a statistician, someone who will go into some deep analysis would just simply say the reason why you can't make that statement, if everybody's as bad as you, why aren't their record as bad as yours, is because they didn't have to play in that exact situation.
Great.
Right? Being real.
Yes, sir.
So this is why I hated group projects. This is why growing up, this is why I never had a roommate after freshman year. This is why I hated group projects. Think about it. There's a group project. There's 4 of us. And now all 4 of us, we're going to trust each other, right? And Acho, me, you, Skip, and Shannon. We're going to do this project together. All right, let's go. 25% all of us doing our project, right? I show up, you show up, Skip show up, Shannon show up, and one of us don't have our part. Immediately, we walk into the classroom setting. Guess what our grade is at max? 75%. That's a C. The ceiling has dropped from an A to a C just because somebody didn't do their job. In Detroit, a lot of people weren't doing their job. So therefore, the ceiling was so low for the opportunity for them to do what they can do. Matthew Stafford suffered through that, big dog. I don't understand why you don't see this in team sports.
It's 2 things.
You ain't never had a balling season and y'all sorry.
First and foremost, I want Jenny on the group project. That's
okay,
where
that's
you went
fine.
wrong
That's
first.
fine.
Thank you.
That's fine.
Now, the second
20%.
The second thing is this. A rising tide floats all boats.
Yeah.
So if there is a group project, be better. Be
Acho,
better.
Acho.
If you're a C, then be an A plus. Then the other person needs to be an A plus plus.
Acho, they're all percentages. It all adds up. You just took 20% away.
But you know that's not how it works, though, Sel.
Yes, it is.
Let's go. A pizza box. You know there is only so much pizza in the box. You can cut a bigger slice. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's like, be a bigger slice.
You can't.
Be a bigger slice, please.
All pros, Pro Bowlers on 4 and 12 teams. Like Deshaun Watson set NFL records. What was his record? 4 wins. He's making my point on the microcosm on a greater scale. It can happen repeatedly. You can kill it, and it don't add up, and it's not on you. That's what I was saying about Westbrook, and that's what I'm saying about this.
I agree in a small sample size. In 3
or
4 years, I don't think for 11 consecutive years or 10 consecutive. No, Stafford's been in the league got to be 12 or 13 because my brother would have been on 10.
I'm with you.
I don't think for 12 or 13 consecutive years you can be that good and still be 74, 90, and 1. Caldwell's a good coach because everybody has said that played for Detroit under Caldwell that Caldwell was a good coach. Caldwell was there for 3 years. They had a winning record.
All good and created equal, coach.
That is true, but I don't think you can be that good and still not have anything collectively to show for it.
Golly, man, I'm glad I didn't play with you because we would have philosophical conversations and then go out there and play and still come back and have philosophical conversations. Hey, it always doesn't add up, but good luck to you. You're in L.A. Let's go see it.